Welcome to a special edition of Yard Work. The Miami Dolphins have traded for Benardrick McKinney from the Houston Texans. That, in essence, replaces Alana Roberts as the Mike Scrape linebacker. I believe it's a huge upgrade for the Miami Dolphins. And I'm going to show you some of his work from this past season. He only played 4 games. He seemed healthy throughout the 4 games till after week 4, he was declared inactive, and then he had shoulder surgery to, I guess, clean up an issue he had before. Okay, now this first play that I'm going to show you here, this is week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs line up in 22 personnel. They have a fullback in the game. They're going to pull a guard to try to trap McKinney. This is basically all designed to attack the middle linebacker. He plays it absolutely perfect. And we're running it at full speed, and then we're going to run it from behind the defense so I could show you what's happening. As you can see, they're in a little over front right there. And McKinney stuffs it right in the hole as Clyde Edwards-Helaire tries to cut under the guard, but he doesn't. All right, we're going to stop it right here, and we're going to run it slow. And there's the action, right, by Tyreek Hill. And I'm going to show you what they're reading here. You have a tackle in the B gap, okay? So obviously he's going to have to try to shoot, get upfield, right? McKinney has to read this fullback, okay? He either has to engage him, and some of these guys have to shed to try to take away the cutback lanes, and then everybody else has to flow, right? Obviously, Cunningham is going to have to contain on the outside. 57 has to read his lineman right here. This is Merciless right here on the at right end. Head up on Eric Fisher, okay? But McKinney has to read 2 things. He has to read this guard, and he has to read this guard. Because they're essentially uncovered, right? Although you have a man right here. He has to occupy, ideally, the tackle and the guard on this side. But McKinney definitely has to read this man right here because he has a nose tackle playing in what is considered a shoulder technique. It's some call it a 1. It's essentially 0 because he's going to try to occupy the center. So McKinney has to read the fullback and this guard because they are free. If the play goes this way, he has to scrape as close as possible and try to get to the outside shoulder of the next nearest blocker, which should be a guard pulling or maybe even the tackle if the tackle down blocks. And then that should free up 57 to make the tackle. Now let's clear this up. If the play comes to this side, McKinney has to read this guard, especially if he pulls, and has to mirror him, but not overrun him, and stay disciplined enough to step into and fill the cutback lane. If this linebacker, if essentially, let me clean all this up. If he sees that this is just a simple double team, he has to take on that fullback. Because if this is just a double team right here, it's an ISO, and they're running daylight with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He has to blow up the fullback. Let's see what happens. Let's run the play. Here comes Tyreek in motion. And as you can see, he's mirroring the fullback. He's mirroring the guard, but he stays disciplined enough to just stay right in the hole, cleans it up. That's a minimal gain. Great recognition by Benardrick McKinney. All right, here in the same game, as you can see, the score is now 24-7. But McKinney doesn't stop playing as the Kansas City Chiefs keep running the ball at the Houston Texans. And in this play, they're in 11 personnel, and they run inside zone with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And you can see Benardrick McKinney immediately recognizes it, plays it accordingly. And we're running it quickly so you can see the play develop. You can see it in real time. You can see McKinney right there is in Mike. You see briefly gets engaged with 77. Cleans up the play. 3-yard gain only. Now we're going to slow it down. And we're going to show you what he's doing here. Okay? As you can see, and he's behind the camera right here, right? He's pointing to Cunningham. Cunningham is actually looking at him. He's communicating. And he's telling him, look, we're kind of unbalanced here, right? There's a tight end on this side. So to avoid getting leveraged, he's telling Cunningham, look, you got to get to the outside to contain. All right? Basically telling him he'll be responsible for all the lanes if they run inside zone. He'll be responsible for this. He'll be responsible for this. And he'll be responsible for this. As you can see, that comes in handy because that's exactly what the Chiefs are planning on trying to do. Now let's clean it up here. What the Chiefs are trying to do, they're trying to get a double right here and then release 77 up the field to try to get another block. So that way, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, when he takes the handoff, has the cutback into here, or he can follow this double in here, or he can take it to the outside. But what they're not banking on is this way because obviously they're not running anything this way because the Texans pretty much have that stuffed on that side. They're on the right hash mark, so Chiefs normally do a lot of running to the far hash mark. It's how they take advantage of their speed, and we're going to see how they try to take advantage of it here on this play, but it gets snuffed out. And we're running it slow so you can see it. So Cunningham over here is responsible for contain. So as you can see, and let's stop it. Benardrick McKinney already sees the double. And the double so far is successful. So most linebackers would just shoot right here. And that's usually a mistake because then good running backs can cut it diagonally and just run for daylight, and there's nothing behind there except safeties, right? So most linebackers will make the mistake of just getting overzealous and saying, I'm running right to the hole because that's where the daylight's at, and that's where usually a running back's going to go, right? That's not what he does. He plays this a little bit more intelligently. As you can see, he makes sure to engage, and as you can see, J.J. Watt is coming on the backside, so he forces the cutback. But what McKinney is doing right here, engaging with 77, is to give the running back a moment of pause, make him declare, but look at his hands and how he disengages almost immediately. We're running it. Disengages immediately onto Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That is a 3-yard gain on inside zone when the Chiefs had the numbers and had it perfectly blocked. That is a hell of a play by Benardrick McKinney. All right, this is week 2 against the Ravens, and the Ravens have a hell of a running game. The best running game in the NFL, and you can see why on this play. We're going to run it right here, and we're going to show it to you in real time. And as you can see, and let's just stop it. They're bringing a man in motion to the what looks like the play side. They're on the right hash. And the Texans, they kind of looked like they're going to be flanked, right? It does look that way, right? It looks like they're in trouble. Watch Benardrick McKinney and how he recognizes the play right away, how he shoots a gap and finishes. We're going to run it. We're going to run it full speed so you can see it. Beautiful. Now from behind the defense, I'm going to put it slow. I'm going to wait for the man to set so I could tell you what he is looking at here. And all right. These are the Baltimore Ravens, okay? This is Gus Edwards. That's their power back. They have a lot of options with the way that they're aligned here, but the Texans feel as if they have it covered. They brought a safety into the box, and what they're going to do is he's obviously going to be responsible for contain since he's coming into the box. And they feel they can scrape and fill to either side with all of their linebackers, Cunningham and Benardrick McKinney. So if the play comes to the outside, they feel as if they have numbers. If the play goes away from them to the far hash, they feel that they can scrape and fill as long as this defensive tackle, who's in a one technique, can stay on this center and not allow him to get out on the edge. So let's run it slow. We're running it slow. Now they're going to bring more numbers, and there's a snap, and we are going to stop it. As you can see right here, Benardrick McKinney, he's just watching the play, right? He's just watching the play, and he has a lot of responsibilities if you think about it. Cunningham, he knows he has Cunningham that's going to scrape and contain, right? And this is Justin Reed, by the way. Justin Reed has any outside tosses, or if Lamar Jackson keeps it going left to the right of the defense, Justin Reed should also have him. So there's a lot to look at here. And usually most middle linebackers would shoot daylight to try to fill and force the play. But that's not what he does here. We're going to run it, and we're going to see he mirrors the running back. Slides, avoids a block, and finishes. That play was extremely well blocked by the Baltimore Ravens. They got 3 yards because Benardrick McKinney had the discipline to not shoot to fill. He scraped and contained. All right, so how is he in pass coverage? Well, the Ravens managed to catch the Houston Texans with their 11 personnel, and they're running Andrews in motion, and the Texans declare man. And who is in man-to-man coverage on Andrews? Benardrick McKinney. And what they're actually going to run right here is some type of out and up, and Benardrick McKinney is left all alone, targeted on what should be a touchdown. Let's see how he does. And we're going to run it slow. Let's clean this up. We're going to run it slow so you can see him stick with it. As you can see, I guess what they're just going to do is they're just going to clear guys across. They get them to declare man. So now Lamar Jackson knows where he's going with the football. He has a clear mismatch here with Mark Andrews on Benardrick McKinney. But you see he undercuts it right there. And he turns his shoulders. And now he's running parallel to the sideline. Ball's in the air. Closes the distance. Incomplete pass. That is not ideal to have Benardrick McKinney one-on-one with Mark Andrews. But this time, he wins. All right, this is week 3 against the Steelers. And the Steelers are in 22 personnel right here. And what they're running is some type of ISO play. At least that's the way it looks like, right? But they actually run counter with it. And they're trying to get out on the edge right here. And Benardrick McKinney's responsibility is to blow up the fullback since he's going to be the only uncovered guy running to the ball. We'll see what happens. There, it turns into stack. 44 gets out on McKinney, does not get a hand on him. McKinney makes the tackle on James Conner for a 2-yard gain. We're going to run it slow, and I'm going to draw this up for you. Okay, since they're playing the same technique, and this is something that they did all year last year, the Houston Texans, they gave Benardrick McKinney no favors whatsoever, as they didn't really help him get to the ball. He had to make a lot of decisions as a Mike backer. Right here, they're kind of in an over front, but it ends up becoming stack, since what Reed is doing in the box is essentially just trying to stop any outside run. And Martin is essentially going to try to blow up the tight end. And it looks like doubles could come right here. If the double comes right here, McKinney has to have 3 reads. Either fill, or stay, and then scrape to fill. So the field is essentially cut in half for Benardrick McKinney and Zach Cunningham. Zach Cunningham has the same responsibilities on this side of the field. Let's clean this all up. And then let's run it to see what transpires. And we're running it slow. And the Steelers notoriously have very tricky run schemes. But this is some old school football, as they just run power. 71 gets the kick out. Beautiful block right there by 71. And now we're left with Benardrick McKinney, a fullback, James Conner. James Conner could score with this if McKinney doesn't defeat this. What does he do? Sidesteps the block, makes the tackle. That's just a 2-yard gain. Could have been much, much worse. Great play, Benardrick McKinney. So how does he hold up against lead ISO? We're going to get to see it right here. Steelers are in 22 personnel. Benardrick McKinney blows up the play. No gain. We're going to run it slow so we could see what is transpiring here. It's essentially the same read as always. Every time that they line up in the I formation, the Mike backer has to read the fullback, okay? Fullback goes outside. He can fill. Fullback leads. He has to take him on. He has to take him on and allow his outside backer, which is Zach Cunningham, to scrape and fill. Merciless has to set the edge. He cannot get kicked out. He gets kicked out, then it's up to Reed to save a touchdown if the play runs to the far hash. So, what does he do right here? He reads the fullback, reads him perfectly, and he fills the gap. Other linebackers tend to overrun it, and then they allow a cutback lane that the running back takes advantage of and gets 4 or 5 yards. Not on this play. And we're running it slow so you can see it. Good double right there on 91. And McKinney's just filling. Blows up the play. No gain. Great play. All right, here we are at the goal line. It's 1st and goal at the 1-yard line. And I said earlier that the Steelers like to get tricky with their running game, and here is another example of that. This looks like simple, heavy set. They're in the I formation. There's Benny Snell is the running back. And what the Steelers are doing right here is they're running a crossbuck. The fullback is going to go outside while Snell will counter and try to get over here as they pull a guard for him to run behind him. Now, what McKinney has to do is he has to read the fullback, as always, right? So he reads him momentarily, he sees the crossbuck action, and he follows where the running back goes. And we'll see the result. And we're going to run it at full speed. You see the crossbuck? Look at McKinney. Fills, stops him. No gain. We're going to run it slow so you can see what he sees. And there's the crossbuck action. There's a slight hesitation. As you can see, he's eyeballing the fullback. But now he knows he doesn't have the ball. So he's reading now, okay, this is crossbuck. I got to step and fill. And that's exactly what he does. Let's clean this up so you can see it. Found the gap. Stones him at the 1 yard line. No gain. That is incredibly quick recognition by Benardrick McKinney. Great middle linebacker play.